allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and justice. We're going to run through our commissioners meeting real quick, close out, and then start to join. So, okay. All right, motion of previous minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the claims.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Go. Report of collections. Yes.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. All right, departments.
Just kind of the update what I gave to the council on Monday. Really not a whole lot. Collections we're staying ahead of where we was last year at the end of April. Run numbers are about the same. Budgets are on my budget. Overtime, full-time overtime, we're staying. I figured out projected whatever payout every week. We're staying below that, so we're staying pretty good with the overtime on the full-time. Part-time pay, we were over half of what I budgeted. We are utilizing more part-time this year than what we are, but we also increased their hourly rate pretty significantly so we can be competitive with other organizations around us. So we're averaging around $5,300 to $5,500 per pay out for part-time. I got it figured probably about another 5 to 7 days. Then we need to make a decision on what we're going to do. If we want to utilize some of the money from the overtime, move it down for part-time, or ask for an additional product to the council on that. Remount ambulance looks like August where I'm going to get it. And then was some discussion about it was the council talked about a new ambulance in 2026, trying to get on that rotation. The challenge that we're going to face with that is if we order a brand new ambulance, custom ambulance, as of like just say today, is 2 years out. So you're looking at middle to late 2027, early 2028. I did mention the company that we bought the 2 new ones from, Horton. The company is called EV Plus. They do build pre-builts, and they typically will build these about 6 to 10 extras. I don't know if we can get our name in the hat for that. I don't know. They go fairly quick, but it's something we need to look at. Otherwise, if we're going to build a new one, you're looking 2 years before we get it. So I really like to encourage us to stay on that every other year. We're looking at every other year on our ambulance. We know we're going to be back to where we was a couple years ago. So other than that, that's all I had. You guys have anything for me? It is National EMS Week, so you see my people tell them thank you for what they do, but yes, it's National EMS Week. So that's all I got. You don't have anything for me.
Okay. Thanks, Gareth.
Thanks for that.
Hello. So we're back around again on the HSI funding to decide whether we want to opt in or opt out. The funding has decreased from $338,000 for this year to next year being $100,444.38. Dramatic decrease. We've been very good about conserving the dollars and providing high impact programs with a lower budget. We did not hire this year, so we kind of prepared thinking that this could happen. So we're just here to see if that's something you're interested in. If we decide to opt in to receive the $100,000, if we opt out, we'll go back to receiving the $48,000.
You guys are for it, right?
We're supportive, our staff is supportive. It is a little bit more. We do at this time have a part-time nurse that we will she's there 1 day a week. We're very happy with her services and would like to continue, and we'll use this money to try to continue that. I did have to go through and make some decrease a lot of the line items that we had this year, and this decreased it rapidly. But yes, we're very supportive about it at this time.
I'll make a motion to end the initiative. Stay.
I'd second that.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All I have, unless you have something else.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys just update our community crossings project. Milestone has finished Schoolhouse Road down by Wallace. They had to be pulled off this week to go to another job. And they will be back to finish the Stone Shoulder later this week. And then next week they will be starting on 800 South. And that will take care of our project. It's a community crossing. Our in-house paving, we're going to start probably the first week of June. And take about a week to do that. And then we want to our Chinsu projects. I was going to ask Kim if she could post the route on the website or the city one week. I do have a couple of budget questions real quick. I noticed last Monday you guys were discussing with him about the ADA pay. That comes out of our budget, so the new budget coming up, we need to eliminate that from ours.
Not just yet.
Not just yet.
Yeah, let us talk on it.
Okay. And one other question regarding funding. NDOT has changed how they do our bridge inspections. NDOT and federal highway have changed how they consult us do our bridge inspections, which is that supplemental agreement that I sent to you guys. We signed that. I was just wondering, instead of asking for an additional out of county general or bridge fund, would be able to handle something like that.
Possibly.
Probably it's better checked. I mean, it'd be good.
Yeah,
if
we can,
the
yes.
account says it's okay.
Yeah, I'll just instead of asking.
Kim, would you like to check on that, please? Thank you. You can just let Jason know.
But since it's on bridge inspection, it should be able, yeah, it should be able to use Cambridge. Yeah. The healthy.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, well, highway annual report, did you guys look over those slides? Maybe. Jason, do you have anything you want to say on that? I mean,
no, everything.
Yep.
Check out my shows.
Yeah.
Word's raised there.
Yeah. Move on to Bent Tree Lane. PW, do you want to, I mean, I guess we probably need to make, there's a section that John, do you want to stand up here and tell exactly what we're going over?
Hopefully, I understand, Victory Lane, so there was in the 90s, there was a, subdivision created, for lack of a better term, plat with a whole bunch of houses on Victory Lane. The one property in question is not unburdened. There's not a lot given to it, so right now it has its own descriptor, just as any other parcel of ground inside of the county. Bentry Lane was dedicated in the plat to the public use, but it was never taken into inventory of the county for a road. I don't know if it is up to county standards. I mean, that is on that. I think that gives you kind of an idea of what's happening.
Well,
It's now been sold and
it is zoned as agriculture,
it is currently in the on the property card as agriculture.
which allows this person to build a home however it seems fit. And you have any questions?
Where is Bent Tree Lane?
Up north was at Kane, up east of Attica. More or less, you go up 341 miles north. It's over mile and a half up past 28, 341, left or right out.
Did you say township?
It's north of my house,
Okay.
about a mile and a half.
And the discussion is about Lane. They want us to take over Lane. Is that what?
Well, they purchased the parcel, and then was wondering, do they need a building permit? In the property card, it shows that it's zoned agricultural because it's not part of the subdivision. It was never lotted as part of the subdivision. It was supposedly supposed to become another lane. If you go through, talk to people that knew back in the day, it was supposed to become to this another driveway to another subdivision. It never never came to fruition. So then if it's not zoned agricultural, then it would be zoned, if it's not zoned residential and it's agricultural, then they don't need to pull a building permit. So then the question was, do they need to have, how do they have access to that tree lane? They're not part of the subdivision. Then the question came up, is it part of the county inventory? We found out it's not part of the county inventory. Kind of unequal lane.
It's just one lane going through all that.
I mean, Mr. Adar may be able to speak more to that as well. He's got a lot of experience as well.
How are you, Roger?
I studied the plat, and there are two mentions in the plat. One is in the covenants that says this subdivision shall be known and designated as Whispering Meadows Phase 2, in addition to Davis Township, Pine County, State of Indiana. All roads shown are hereby dedicated to the public. That is Bent Tree Lane. And then further down, and that was signed on the 28th of August, 1997. The commissioners of Fountain County at the time, Commissioner Joe, Ziegler, and Osborne, executed that on September 2nd of 97 to the following statement. We undersigned, being the Board of Commissioners of the County of Fountain, State of Indiana, do hereby accept the dedication of the road right-of-ways and maintenance of said roads as shown on the plat, subject to said roads being installed pursuant to county standards and inspection thereof by the county highway department. So it seems that the commissioners at the time had already accepted that road as a public road. So I don't think there's anything for us to do here other than to give Jason a nod to say the commissioners accepted it, put it on your inventory, and that opens me up to grant this gentleman a permit. Because although it's ag now, it still has to go through cleanup for the floodplain check. And then rezone by use. So once he starts building a house on it, it's going to turn into a residential. But if Bent Tree Lane is a public access, then we have no issues with getting into this lot. And, you know, apparently it was already accepted by previous commissioners. So I think it's just a nod that says, sure, go ahead and it for the inventory. And if that happens tonight, then I think you should gentlemen the permit tomorrow.
Are you good with the reservation? Honestly, I've never traveled in the road, so I mean, I'm sure it is, but I don't know. I'll talk. If I need to send something to I'll get that onto our inventory. I will.
The road is stone base. It's approximately 1,100 feet. So. Already on. I mean, it's already approved in 97.
Been approved in 97.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
It's been approved in 97, that's.
It is what it is.
it is what it is exactly. So, yeah, let's make a motion, Tim, to have Jason go look at it and get it officially on the rule for Fountain County as far as roads go.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to healthcare. You guys read through all that? Any questions?
It's just the standard.
It's the standard, yeah.
Standard things, and then every year they have to run all,
Yep,
any changes, any whatever, so.
Yep.
It is what it is.
yep. Any public comment, quick public comment on commissioners meeting here? All right, make a motion to close it.
Make a motion to close.
I'll say.
All in favor? Aye. Yes.
I call to order the joint Fountain County Commissioners and Council meeting, the Fountain County Council.
I'll call order the commissioners. Stephanie, are you on there?
I am.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for letting me appear by Zoom. I appreciate it. Just following up, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Good, thanks. Just following up on the directive that you gave the court at the last meeting to get a second price on someone to do wall restoration for the court offices and the one wall in the jury room. And so far that has been a no-go. I haven't found anybody that would even, as soon as we talk about plaster and wallpaper removal, they give me the thanks, but no thanks. So I know that, let's see, Doc Schrock was reached out to his person that he mentioned last time, and they also said no thanks. So I am of no help to you there. Just as a reminder, the quote that the court did get was from Tradecraft, who did the work following up, I think it was sliders that Auditor Johnson had done in her office, and they're in that. And also, just as a reminder, this all came up when the carpet cleaning people told the court that, or told me that they couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't rip the carpets to shred. And then Dudley suggested maybe we get a price on carpet. And so I did that with Romer's. Haven't really found anybody else that has called me back. I don't know what's going on. The pricing that the court got is exactly the same carpet that you all have there. So I don't know if you all got comps or other estimates from someone else that I could bootstrap to. But there doesn't seem to be an environment that people are really calling back at this point. So I'm empty-handed and asking for direction.
You probably patents, did you do patents?
Yes. And I hear back from them.
Okay, thank you.
I called a place down in Clinton as well, and they told me they would email me something, and it's been a couple of weeks now, and I haven't heard anything back. So I don't know who all, when you got your squares in there for the new room, who else you got a quote from, but I assume it would be about the same per square foot. Do any of you remember?
You're talking about, yeah, we had extras in the basement that we used.
Okay.
So, Judge, tell me, just remind us all exactly the $26,750, what the quote is exactly for.
Sure. So that is stripping off all of the wallpaper and doing the repairs to the walls and the ceilings in the court offices, as well as the one wall in the jury room that has a lot of damage to it from the leaky radiators over the years. And so they're the ones that did the work in the court chambers, as well as that hallway out there. So they do have experience in taking down the wallpaper. And I know that they did some work for you all. So I have faith in them understanding the needs of the courthouse. I just really need to get my carpets cleaned. And, this is just kind of like ripping a Band-Aid or taking, one of the Jenga pieces out, and it, brings about another issue. So.
So what if we make the motion to approve the Tradecraft work And that can be done while she's waiting to get a carpet. Because they told her they really don't want to put the carpets in if they're going to do all this work. It will destroy that carpet.
Yeah, and this needs to be done before we do the carpet, so.
Yes.
And we have money in the building repairs, so under the council budget, so. If the commissioners are okay with that, I think we should go ahead and get it repaired. She's tried to get other bids and that's the only bid she's got, so.
One of you want to make the motion to approve this bid?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve that bid.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the bid for Tradecraft Specialty?
I'll make that motion and that we take it out of the budget for building repairs.
Second that.
Out of council.
Out of the council, yes, council, because
Council's building repairs.
there isn't any under commissioners.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
6-0.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time and your support of the court. So we'll just hold off on the carpet, and I'll keep trying on that. They did tell me that if it was approved, they would be able to get it done yet this summer. So hopefully. Okay, thank you.
You guys have anything for the council? Nothing. We're good.
Say that's for me. I don't want to say anything.
Thank you for what you do.
Good. All right.
Good.
Let's move on to the contract for the lawyer for the APC and the BZA. Tim, you expressed some concerns.
my concern is I have no problem with her hourly fees or anything, but if she lives in, is it Greenwood, Indiana? Lives in Greenwood, Indiana, it's a 3-hour round trip, 3-hour meeting. We're paying her $1,000 to drive over here. That's a lot of money. I can't believe we can't find a local attorney.
I guess I'll speak from the discussion we had at the ABC meeting. Her name was put forward at the ABC meeting to be the counsel for the ABC and the BCA. There was a motion to second it, and that motion was tabled because we didn't have enough information about this particular person. But she might be the most qualified person there is, but we didn't have a resume. We didn't have any background, whether she had any zoning experience.
No.
There was an issue on what kind of building there would be and the distance she had to drive. And I assume she could participate remotely and wouldn't have to drive. So if someone could supply that information, what background she has, what qualifications she has, would be great.
Actually, she said in that meeting on tape that she had no experience with zoning. Well, that was why I wanted to.
I think I'm going to speak. I know I have given the APC chairman names of attorneys in Crawfordsville, in Lafayette, and in Fowler. And the problem I think they're going to run into is, one, if you're wanting a zoning ordinance attorney, they're few and far between. So that cuts your pool down. And then they tend to be hired by other cities. So, I know the one from Fowler does too. They do Warren County and they do Attica. So that's where the difficulty is coming into play, I think, is the availability of trying to find somebody to do it. Now, what her qualifications are, I only read her bio, and everybody's more than welcome to do that. It's Harder Lusky law firm out of Greenwood. They're online if you want to look at it. But that's all I've got to say about that.
I have zero concerns with putting her in for APC and BZA attorney, but I think she's well qualified, but you can sit here and sway your opinions. So.
I know she did some work for the council previously, and we were pleased with what she had done. So
She admitted she had no experience. I know she's a lawyer, it's not rocket science, but had a great.
Did the APC, did they checked with any other orders?
I have spoken to some, and some of them said, we'll get back with you, and I don't know the names off the top. I know one of the ones, I'm trying to remember, we got several recommendations, and we don't know anything about this, or we don't want to be involved. We can't because we're already under, there was one in Lafayette, somebody that, and they're already under a retainer with number of plus, and so then there would be a conflict of interest. So
Just curious.
say again.
I was just curious.
I share similar concerns on the travel expenses. But I mean, if we can, she can room and we can conduct meetings and she can review drafts and, you know, put her legal stamp on it. There's gotta be on the budget.
Don't you think though, PW, that she really needs to be at most of the meetings with what we're, you know, what we're dealing with right now?
That's part of the problem. County's in such turmoil right now, that's why nobody wants to represent to come in and do it, and grew up because we can decide to come in. So it is what it is.
I'm just talking the expense side of it.
I'm just talking, you know, what's going on in the county. Everybody sees this, they watch the videos. And want to have anything to do with it.
Well, in my opinion, we need to move back past that. We're beyond that now. We need to move on, do our business.
Oh, I don't think we are.
Oh, I think we are.
Go ahead.
From our conversations, I believe you are all aware that lawyer fees are going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once again, I don't think John at the chair, and Jessica at the BZA, I think we're all on the same page as far as concerns for government budget. So do I think she's going to be at every meeting? No, there are going to be meetings, but she's not. We're going to be talking through a bunch of stuff. But we need someone in there. So, and she's willing to do it, and I think she'll be a good fit.
May I ask a question?
You know,
If you don't have an ACC, why do you need a lawyer? You're down to 5 people. And if you talk to me the way you talk to Jessica Anderson on camera, unacceptable. I quit, and maybe she will. That puts you down to 4. There's a question about whether Mr. Sprock is even eligible to be on there. Since he lives within.
So I'm gonna cut you off right now. He's not in city limits, so we're just gonna nix that right now. We're in that conversation around. He's not in the city limits. It's
in code, this jurisdictional boundary. It's not done by Fountain County. It's covenant jurisdictional boundary. The covenant goes to 74.
You can ask Mr. Graham about that.
okay.
Personally, absolutely. You don't have to pay him if you sign him up for a year's contract, or you don't have to pay him whether you have a committee or not.
It's what was it? 12. I'm trying to think of the contract. I pulled out my phone. $1,250. I think I found the retainer. $1,250, I believe, what the retainer is. 1250 per retainer. We're taking $1,250. Yes, yes, yes.
I thought council paid $1,500, I believe, for her retainer.
Let me get mine.
Over there says 1,500.
Yeah. Yeah, council paid $1,500 for a retainer fee for her.
Okay. Well, I don't.
The letter says.
But, and it's only on billable hours, so I mean, she's not getting,
Mhm.
she doesn't come to a meeting, she doesn't get paid.
15, correct, it is 1,500, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want people to misunderstand. I'm not speaking against her. I just have to add more.
Um,
Motion to approve Michelle Harder for the lawyer for the agency and the BZA. It's on the table.
You know how she's going to bill. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I think they don't reciprocate.
And I'm gonna make something real clear if I could. My understanding of the statute, both for the APC and the BZA, is they can hire their own attorney. They don't need anybody's blessing. They do need you first, the council.
And the BCA does not have any money appropriated for an attorney.
Correct.
So they'll have to go through the APC.
They're really going to convince somebody.
So the agency has the ability to hire their own attorney, or not, I mean, they're an advisory planning division.
Yeah. You know, I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding.
That's my understanding.
The BZA, the agency. Maybe I can be a lot more confident about this if you give me a few minutes.
Okay.
The BZA.
Before you got to vote on.
I have a motion on the floor, yes.
I don't want to be mindful on the spending on the budget, but I do find second that. As long as we're mindful on the spending.
So you make.
So I'll make the motion to accept her. And there we go.
Second.
No.
I'll second, yes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
2-1.
So about that question about the political concerns, Commissioner Rice had a question. Even if like anyone that are advising us, such as the county engineer, we've had a practice in the past, but I understand the county engineer shows up, and I'm not putting him on the spot, I'm just saying, Mr. Agar, we all know is the county engineer. What we're operating now is if we have a question that we need to ask him during that ABC meeting, we invite him to that ABC meeting. Because if we're just discussing and collecting information from the county residents, as we're told to by the code that operates the APC, then we're in the midst of gaining from the citizens and other stakeholders. We don't need a county engineer there for offering expertise of compaction of all the things the county engineer does for us. As we have those questions through those, so we send it off to him. As we have questions and we know that we're having a meeting that we're going to have legal questions, of course, you will need to be able to either come in person or to zoom in via electronic type of thing there. So the question Council President Carlson had about, made a comment about zoning attorneys. I'm trying to find one that is an expert in exactly zoning. So when we ask the question for zoning, we get a zoning answer, because a lot of the stuff that we're going through is not just zoning, it's also what other things apply to it. So having both of those on them, so we are actively looking for those. And I'll reiterate what she said, they're few and far between that is an actual zoning expert. So we're trying to find all those pieces, experts that can come to the table. Hope you all can come on Thursday night. We've got fire chiefs coming, talking about their concerns, so we can make ordinances that are that deal with the health and safety of our citizens.
Thanks, John.
John, I just like,
I have a zoning attorney at Barnes and Thornburg, Joe Caldwell. But you probably won't find him. He's 675 now. But he's an expert, so you either want to know exactly or you don't want to know exactly. So
we had Barnes and Thornburg done this with the solar farms. Very tall. course, the solar people paying for that.
Maybe that end, I'll reach out to them.
John, yes, I just want to remind you, so we have consulting fees, which would cover Roger or somebody you bring in to talk to and there's 50,000 budgeted, and attorney fees is 20,000. You just need to make sure you work with Kim and make sure you don't go over that, because if you get close, then you're going to have to come to the council and the commissioners and ask for additionals, and then we'll have to see where spending is and where our money sits at that time.
One thing too, I think people need to understand is that, yes, the APC has their budget, but the BZA operates their budget within the APC's funds. Is that correct?
That's correct. We don't have.
So any bills that get generated, they go through the APC's funding. So anytime the BZA wants to generate, they want to call Roger and have them come and do something, I feel personally they need to come to you first and say, can I do that? Because that bill's going to have to be paid out of APC funding. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but I think out of courtesy, maybe that's the way it should be.
And maybe
pure
commissioners
set up. So, I mean, there's no arguing that. That's how it's set up. So,
and Jessica knows that. She's not supposed to spend money unless she does do. Okay.
Good. Move on to the 911 Florida position. I know Dana was talking to you guys. She wants, which I think we need to make a motion. She's putting in a floater that was taken out. The previous, correct me if I'm wrong, the previous budget before they took the floater position out, will save, I don't remember the exact number, so they'll save what, $3,000 a month or something.
Something like that. Very good.
Yeah. For a floater to come in and cover, she won't work any overtime. She's just going to work those.
And no benefits.
Yeah, no benefits.
Or anything. I mean, to me, it's no benefits.
It keep her from coming back to us all the time for overtime.
We're still going to need to budget money on overtime because there wasn't enough to cover just her employees that are working 36 one week and 48 hours the next week. Those 8 hours overtime,
we need to go.
We didn't budget enough for the whole years.
Just about every department. So put that in the back of your head as well. If they were, but the last we were up, they were 17, right? So I think 2017. Well, review it. Yeah. So, can I get a motion to approve as far as the commission go, the floater position?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Kim, have you advertised that yet? Yes. For an additional, and then that will need to be advertised and then on the commissioner's agenda and then ours this next week. And then we'll also need to do a salary ordinance change.
Amendment to the ordinance.
Yeah. That give you enough time to advertise it before the next commissioners meeting?
It should.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Roger, you want to come back up there and talk about the floodplain administrator?
I got an email today. I have not heard from anybody that hired me. That told me that DNR sent me an email that says that Tina had reached out to them and that I'm gonna be the floodplain administrator moving forward. was a surprise to me. If they kind of need a floodplain administrator or they need help, I'll be happy to take it on, but I have not heard from anyone here who I work for you guys that I was gonna do the floodplain administrator. That's something that is in my real well. I would floodplain for all the projects. So I just need to know how you guys feel about this. I literally saw the email today. He didn't reach out to me or tell me, and I haven't seen it for someone else. DNR said, hey, congratulations, you're gonna be the floodplain administrator.
The team that's. You want to leave alone? Or you want to?
No, I think she needs to come in here and tell us what she's doing. She's being paid to do that.
How does she get to decide what she's?
Exactly.
Did Joe Whitaker do the floodplain when he was EMS director?
Sorry, sir.
Joe Whitaker, when he was EMS director, EMA, did he do the floodplain?
He did.
Okay.
He did. And Tina's been doing that up to, I guess, today.
Okay.
Well, it would be no different than the windows. I was told this week that everyone else got their downstairs windows done. She said it was her office. She wasn't having it done. She doesn't own the courthouse. I don't know why it wasn't done.
We'll pull her in next commissioners meeting.
I assume Commissioner had a conversation with you guys when I got that email. But really came to learn why I was sent an email by the DNR to do that. And like I said, I'm happy to do it, so then until you get a replacement. But it just dropped in my lap, I didn't know how far. I can do it until you hire somebody or identify someone.
No issue right now.
Sorry,
Are there any issues at DNR?
oh, and you know, you just. For instance, part of issuing permits, you have to do the floodplain check.
Okay.
If you issue a permit and you are outside of your jurisdiction, you're in DNR jurisdiction, it's gonna get involved.
Sure.
So somebody has to do that check, and DNR has training that you have to go through to become a CFM. So.
Involves continuing ed and all that stuff, right?
Sorry?
You got a continuing ed.
Yeah.
You're gonna do that every year.
So that's part of my being a professional engineer. I have to continue to add hours, so I'm not worried about that. It's just a matter of saying, hey, do you guys want me to do it? And if the answer is yes, I'll be happy to. If the answer is no, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing for now.
Let's just get Tina in on the next meeting. You'll be here on the,
As far as I'm concerned, Tina's still the administrator because she didn't ask us about any of this.
I honestly can't go on for me, and I'm surprised you don't know about it. So
Yeah.
I think we just leave it alone for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And you guys will have conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ethan, where are we at with the health department building agreement?
We've had all the terms out, we just need the blessing of the council to make sure the money's there and then, have it signed by June 1st, I guess of note. The interest rate was negotiated to 8%. Still needs to be 35,000 down. There is $2,500 per month paid from now until sometime early next year, the mileage there, that's gonna be credited towards the purchase price. Brings it down to $195,000. Let me check right here, I'll tell you the exact number. It brings the purchase price after you pay the $35,000, it brings the advertised amount to $292,500 over 10 years, payments $3,500 a month. It includes the half acre, it includes the whole parcel that has the B&B building plus the other half acre where the septic system is. And we'd like to be paid. And then we don't take possession for a month because he's going to agree to fix thus far everything that's on the inspection report that says this needs to be fixed.
Any questions from the council?
Well, I thought last month's meeting, we talked about a public hearing to get public comment.
That is exactly right. And
And
that's the last thing we have to do before we sign it. We just have to give notice 10 days before when we're ready to sign. But I want to make sure we got all the ducks in a row. Everybody's good with paying the money, make sure we're on the same page with the contract. Right now, the goal is to be in there by July.
I don't want to vote until we have a public hearing and the public tells us how they feel about this, because we took a lot of flack over Maple Corner building and I don't want to see that fiasco ever happen again.
We got a chicken egg limit, understand? What we do first here.
Yeah.
You are 100% in on that, Dudley, the fiasco. The council agreed on that.
I was behind it. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but I didn't think it was.
Don't throw it off on the old.
I'm just saying I'm not going to vote on it until I hear from the public.
So if the public said if 5 people show up and scream no, you don't say no?
If the majority of the people in my district tells me no, I will vote no. And I will contact people.
They say no, you're going to vote no.
I think when something's advertised as a public hearing, that gives constituents the chance to talk to us personally and take that into consideration. It's not just who shows up and how I vote.
So when would you like the public hearing? I guess we need to decide.
Doesn't matter.
Just we gotta have 10 days.
We gotta have 10 days. Yeah.
She's already advertising for
additional.
That's for additional if you take it out of the.
No, the additional for the floater. She's advertising for that, so we can advertise it at the same time. But
Advertise for public hearing.
yeah, pay for just one advertising. But
You mean agency thing? Yeah. So it doesn't say the president of the agency, it says, we pull back that. It says they can appoint a counsel, they can appoint an attorney to do X, Y, and Z advice.
Who signs the contract? There's very little to happen in the county. The commissioners can sign the contract.
49th. 49th is.
June.
Do you count weekend days?
yeah. So could be that there. We can do that.
Yeah. Is it going to squeeze them on getting things?
Section C, the planning commission may make one report for the advice planning staff and your assistant.
See, ones don't want to.
I feel as soon as I can do it in our regular.
I heard that is given.
The regular or the joint meeting? Are we going to have a joint meeting the 16th, and then that way we can all vote on this?
As long as because they want to move in July 1.
Section 36, which is local government.
Oh, June 16th gives them.
Right?
Yeah, that's city and town.
Gives them 2 weeks.
They give it
And does he want us to
You're taxing me every.
What's that?
does he you think fixed before we sign the contract?
This one.
I'm gonna have him read that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he.
Well, that's a plan. This is
Because we're here.
Yep.
But we can-
Oh, okay. I guess.
Ethan, can you verify on the contract for the
have a public
health department building? It's not going to be signed until everything's fixed. Is that correct?
That's what I would like, but here, what I propose we do is let's get this contract out there and let's have the public hearing at the commissioners meeting on June 2nd. With the understanding that the commissioner will say, yeah, we're okay with this as long as we get the money from the council. So the council can do that in June meeting.
So you want us to appropriate the money tonight?
No, June 9th.
At the June 9th, yeah, June 9th meeting. I'm saying, let's go ahead and get the public meeting set up for the second. Let's get a comment. That'll be a commissioners meeting. The only thing I was scared of is I didn't want the commissioner to sign something that there wasn't money already approved.
Right.
So we've been in trouble for that before.
Yeah.
So
So Ken, go ahead and advertise for June 2nd.
and we gotta have the contract available for public inspection.
And we'll do, would you rather do our joint meeting on the 2nd then instead of on the, whatever the date is? 16th. It'll be an evening meeting, correct?
The second morning.
Morning, okay.
He was saying
I'm
they do it on
retired,
the
so it doesn't
second
matter.
and approve it as long as the council approves it on the 9th, and we do our part at night.
Right, okay. As long as they're, public hearing, just want to make sure there's a public hearing. Okay.
Public comment.
What do you want me to do with the highway department bid for civil engineering?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Roger. So guys, do we want to go with a, well, we want to piecemeal this out essentially, or are we, I assumed that we were going to go with a BOT as far as the contract goes for the highway department. So. Well, like he has, one of those, the four that did the engineering before.
Architectural bids,
Yes.
and you asked me to do engineering bids. If you do a build, operate, transfer type contract, you can include those in there. You're gonna pay a hefty fee for those, because the company that's gonna finance your BOT wants to protect themselves. They're gonna up that rate tremendously. You could pay up to 2.5 times what having them done on the street, so to speak, would cost. We saw that at the time when the annex was bought and we were under BOT, when the cost came in for the architectural and engineering, it was extensive, it was very high cost. And that's how the company does to leverage their money and we pay them over the next 10 years, or whatever your agreement is for terminating the BOT. You can design it, you can architect it, and still build it with BOT. Or you can lump it all with BOT, or you can public fund it and not have to worry about paying the high fees and interest rate over the 10-year period that the BOT will apply. Basically, it's a private entity financing the building and running it until you pay it off, and then they turn it back to you. And along the way, if anything happens to that building, there's a change order that adds to your contract. Whereas if the county owns it and something happens, it's part of the maintenance budget that you guys will approve and then it's done. It's a valid concept. I know a lot of people that are using BOTs. But it's a hard decision that you guys need to think, do we want to go on to a BOT on a project that big? And do we want to pay it off in 10 years and what's the interest rate going to eat off our funding? So I have the bid docs ready for the engineering. If you want me to wait, you talk it more, you guys talk it with the commissioners that figure out what you want to do, that's fine. If you want me to advertise them, I'll be happy to. I just need guidance where you want me to see that.
Have some more discussion, obviously. Just hold off, Robert. We'll discuss all of them and see what we're gonna do.
So just wait to get that from you guys.
That would be perfect. See, perfect.
I printed this off of Reading Scan. This is about SB 425. And I've also contacted Eric Koch, which is one of the authors of the bill, to get some clarification on some of this stuff. Some statements made about how long these things can go, and boy, when this is up, we'll redo it for another year. I want to read, and this involves a lot of things. I understand the bottom part relates to solar and other things besides the nuclear stuff or existing electrical things. So authorizes a political subdivision or local authority, that's you three guys right there, to prohibit for a period of not more than 1 year the siting, construction, installation, permitting, or development of a project other than a project undertaken by specific entities. That's the stuff I talked about earlier. That involves the siting, construction, or deployment of facilities, equipment, or infrastructure used in the generation of electricity. So this is everything else. Provides that a prohibition may not be extended or renewed for any length of time, regardless of when the prohibition first takes effect. Yeah. And then I want to comment on a couple of things that were said directly to me in one of these meetings. Pardon me.
Let me kind of address that first. What we need to do is actually get with an attorney, because there could be 100 different views on that. So we need to find out if it was retroactive or whether the bill starts July 1st and our moratorium is already in effect to go through July 1st, 2026, which is what I think it might do. I doubt that it's retroactive since we've already been under one for a year, but it might be. And if it is, ours is done. So we'll get with an attorney, or I don't know whether he wants to look at it or whether we want to go with Barnes and Thornburg, because I don't know.
Well, the law is complicated and you can go a lot of different directions. I understand that. But that's, I just wanted to get that in there, and that's not what I'm about to say now.
Okay.
Bill, can I address that?
Sure.
Okay, so Kelly and Jeff and Denise and I were at Greencastle and Association Indiana Counties meeting last Wednesday. And their understanding, the attorney for the AIC, is that we've already passed the moratorium is through December 31st of 2026. We cannot put another moratorium after that, but we are grandfathered in because of the new law. So after that date, anything that's done has to be done in the zoning ordinance. Any changes, the county has to change the zoning ordinance. We cannot do another moratorium, is what it was explained to us last
And that may very well be the case, but what really bothers me is the night that was voted on right there, we said this bill was on the governor's desk. And I think you guys already knew what it said. And you're trying to do an end around to get more time to kick the can farther down the road. Is what it amounts to. That was addressed in the comments and stuff about this bill. If you read a lot of that stuff, you know, one guy says, you know, we're supposed to be proactive for this type of thing, you know, green energy and renewable energy and all that stuff. But you only made it so the existing guys didn't even have to get a permit. Why didn't you go farther? So the attitude at Indianapolis is, regardless of what you do, by next session, you stand with a real good chance of having it all taken right out of your hands. Because you don't want to look at both sides of the issue. We just talked today, you know, all this money thing, where are we going to get it? What are we going to do? I talked to one of the guys that's in the ranching project down there. They've already, he told me, and I don't know, I'm just telling you what he told me, that they have already upped the assessment on all that property, which amounts to about just that property, the additional stuff. How much?
19 million.
$19 million coming to the fall for this. And you guys don't want to look at it because you think it doesn't look good in some people's eyes that don't even see it. Okay? And I mean, I don't have to go very far down 32 down here to find you a place. It's got about 20 junk cars around it. You know, what about the property values around them? Does anybody care about that? You know, but they want to tell me what I can't do with my property because they don't like the way they look. And it's nowhere around. You guys are forgetting about landowner rights. I'm telling you, you're opening yourself up for other lawsuits.
Goodbye, Sue.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but still not seeing any minutes on the website for the commissioners or the council. And Ethan just said that it has to have a public viewing of the contract. Where are we going to be in the contract? Is it going to be put up on the website? For people to read it?
Are you asking me? Because what I prefer she puts is it's available at my office if you want to come look at it. That's what I prefer she puts on there.
Okay. Okay. And for the BZA, for some reason, there are no minutes, no agenda, and no public video done on the BZA. Is there a reason why? They're meeting monthly and public video on council, commissioners, and APC, but not BZA.
I heard that too. Because I wanted to go back and watch and I couldn't.
So, no agenda, never know what's happening.
Well, Kim, who sets their agenda?
I'm
not 100% sure. Okay.
The BZA doesn't meet monthly, they just meet as needed, right?
I think on the calendar, it shows on the calendar when they're gonna meet, but never.
Yeah, there's the APC agendas on here, the meetings, the minutes, the agendas. I can show you on the website once you.
For the APC, but I mean the BZA.
Their agenda's on here too.
Really?
On the website.
Their agenda.
No, their agenda.
Okay.
Is it listed as soon as on your homepage and go to the minutes and agendas, and then it pulls up. I guess I'll double check, but
yeah, and I can show you maybe it.
Thank you.
I have one more thing I forgot to mention real quick. It's mentioned to me about the government coming in and just taking our land if they want this. I don't want to see that either. But you have people already under contract, signed up voluntarily wanting to put their land into this thing, to where you don't have to take somebody else's ground. Okay? Why not take advantage of that? It makes no sense whatsoever. Because I guarantee you, if they want it, they will come and take it, and it might be yours.
Any other comment for this evening?
Motion closed.
Wait a minute, I want to talk about the special lit. Ethan, last month I brought up about the seeing the bonds.
I talked about that because I knew you were going to bring it up again.
Okay.
We don't have anything. We don't have any bonds.
Okay, Jason didn't bring a copy of the bonds when he came. Well, I mean, the legislation, I told you that the amendment was change the rate and also a one-time transfer. The changing the rate was dropped out of the amendment, but it did pass. So we can do a one-time transfer before January 1 of the excess money and special lit to go into the county general and has to be spent for EMS, which I just looked, the EMS budget's 2.6 million. So we could take that out of the special lit and do that budget for 2 or 3 years. That would be a great savings. So I just we need to get a copy of those bonds. Jason thought there was nothing in there that said we couldn't do it. But I would just like for you to read the bonds and make sure that you agree with Jason. A one-time transfer at whatever amount we want to transfer, and just so that we have enough in there to pay our bond payments, and then we can transfer that. And if you are in agreement with that in the bonds, then that would be great. And we've got plenty of time because we won't want to do it until the end, towards the end of the year, so we know how much excess we have.
Definitely, I would say it's not pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. Kim, could you check with Jason? Why? Because I thought that was what he was bringing us, was a copy of the bond. Okay. But he didn't see anything in there that would prevent us from doing that. So that would be a tremendous help to our finances. We can do that.
Comment that I had with that meeting, and SB1 is going to look really significantly at our property taxes and what we can do with lit taxes, local income tax, and it's pretty radical. So we all need to be aware of that in the county. It's going to affect property taxes, which will lower them. Obviously, that's what the governor wants, but we can make up some for it with lit taxes. So, and that probably is what we're going to have to do. But just FYI to everybody, it's a radical change. It's a major change in how the county is going to get paid.
And then over a 5-year period, it zeroes out your assessed values on your property.
So be aware of that. And it gives more jurisdiction to the council. How
and that's based
municipalities, libraries, fire departments, etc. are going to get money. So
that's going to do away with the seated public safety. So I mean, we're taking that now, and the cities and towns and townships all get a share of that, and that goes away in 2 years. So cities and towns are going to lose a lot of money, and we're going to lose money too.
Schools are huge. They're going to get hit huge.
Yeah. Did you know that, Brad?
Solar farms coming in to help with that.
And the assessed value is going to go way down too.
Yeah, but the problem with the solar is any improvement made to that ag land, the assessed value of that improvement will go down just like everything else will. So when you go to negotiate any type of abatement, you got to look at what the assessed value is going to zero down to, because that's going to make your abatement payment even less.
It won't be ag land. It'll be.
It's the improvement on that ag land. So that's your solar panels.
$2 million limit.
Right.
So these things are $100 million, these solar fields. It's not gonna, we're gonna be in great shape. These solar fields coming in. Period. You better thank God at this point, since what happened with the governor.
And the lines are, if by the time Dalton gets in there, and they've already got the land for Hexagon, that's going to fill the lines pretty close. So you don't have to worry about building everything. They won't have any more places to put it. Especially with them putting in gas down at Cubic down there. It's not going to cover the whole county like everybody wants you to say. So.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
We made the motion.
Yep.
Can we get a motion to close?
I have one thing.
Okay.
I won't be able to attend the APC meeting. I've got a granddaughter function that evening, so that comes. So Kelly usually attends, so if there's a discussion, these two it's certainly possible.
I'll let you know. Can I get a motion to close the council meeting?
So I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.